Hi guys, James at RampantLionReviews again for you today with another beer review. For this one we are going to stick to Sweden. We're going to head up towards Gothenburg once again. Göteborg, as you would say in Swedish, the Swedish craft beer capital up on the west coast. I say that too often on this channel, but we're going to return to a Swedish brewery that I really quite enjoy, and this is the second of a sort of three-part series that we're doing over the course of this week for their 15th anniversary. For this review then, we're going to head out towards Landvetter, just out to the kind of northeast-ish of the city, and we're having a look at another beer from Bryggeri. This one is the 15 Sour. It comes in at 5% ABV, brewed for their 15th anniversary, and this one contains 15 different types of fruit, so it should be really quite interesting. A few videos back you would have seen me review the 15 IPA, which was very nice, and hopefully this one turns out to be just as good. I mean, the 15 IPA was a very nice beer, but it just had, I think the fact that it had 15 hops in it, it just took away a little bit. You couldn't really focus on any one single thing. So yeah, I'm curious to see whether this one is like that or whether it is a little bit more kind of focused and things like that. So we'll just need to see exactly what we get from this one, but you will see the 15 Stout reviewed in a few videos time, and I have to admit that's the one that I am most excited for actually. So yeah, we'll see how we get on with this one and with that one a little bit later, but definitely looking forward to trying this one, and as always I hope that you guys enjoy my take on this beer. So anyway, as is usual with my reviews then, I'll tell you a little bit about the brewery before we taste the beer. If you want to get straight to the tasting, just fast forward. All the usual links are in the description below. That's the brewery website, the link to my other reviews that I've done from Bryggeri before. No doubt you will see some more at some point in the near future. There's all the usual social media down there as well. If you want to see more reviews, do please consider subscribing to the channel. The whole channel of course has a geography based tagging system, so you can go into the homepage and search for beer based on country, city, state, county, prefecture, whatever it is you're interested in. Do check out the playlists of beers from different countries. There is one there for all the Swedish beers that I've reviewed for you. That's constantly being added to, and as always, please do get in touch and let me know some of the other beers and breweries that you guys would like to see me review. It's always great to hear from you guys that are watching the videos, and the support that you show the channel is hugely appreciated. So anyway, to tell you a little bit about Bryggeri then, on to my brewery notes. So Bryggeri, as I've told you before, are based in Landvetter, out to the kind of east of Gothenburg, very close to Gothenburg Landvetter Airport. But the brewery was originally established back in 2005 by Mikael Engström Dugge in Mölndal to the south of Gothenburg. So a few years previously, Mikael had met an Englishman who was selling second-hand breweries, and this really got him thinking about brewing his own beer. So he started studying the Swedish alcohol laws, which, as I've told you before, are still very complex, and at that time even more so, from what I gather. But he was visiting lots of different breweries, and he started buying equipment to put together his own brewery, which culminated in the opening of that facility in Mölndal back in 2005. The brewery continued to grow over the coming years, and by 2009 they'd outgrown this original facility, so they moved up to Landvetter in 2010, where they still are today. So the older brewery had a capacity of around 1,500 hectolitres of beer per year, but the new brewery started with a capacity of 8,000 hectolitres, and this has been more than doubled in recent years. So I'm not sure exactly what volume of beer they are brewing these days, but over the years they've become very well known for their fruit and sour beers. More recently they've been investing in their barrel aging program, as well as producing different IPAs. The Fresh and the Crush series are very interesting. When it comes to the Imperial Stouts, they also have the Grand series, which you've seen me review a few of over the last little while. I wish they would start releasing a few more of the IPAs and things like that, because it is mainly the Grand series, it's mainly the stouts that they're releasing through Systembolaget these days. But the brewery are also one of the owners of the two Brewers beer bars in Gothenburg. There's the one on Tredje Långgatan, and I forget, that's the original one, and I forget the name of the street that the other one is on. It might be Victoria Gatan or something, I can't remember. But yeah, they've got two of these bars that they own in Gothenburg, so that is the kind of unofficial Dugges tap room, if you like. They own those with All In Brewing, for one of the numerous gypsy breweries that you'll find in the Gothenburg area. And Mikael's daughter and her husband, of course, Ida and Peter, they run the Electric Nurse Brewing Company, and Bryggeri brew a good number of their beers for them actually. So yeah, that's definitely another brewery that you want to check out. I'm not sure if Electric Nurse are also co-owners of the Brewers beer bars, but you will find the Electric Nurse beers in there quite readily as well. So if you want Electric Nurse, All In, or or Dugas beer, then the Brewers beer bars are the ones that you definitely want to go and check out. You can check out my out and about video that I did at the one at Tredje Långgatan. Actually, I'd really recommend that you go and visit that bar. I really enjoyed that in Gothenburg. So yeah, that's all you really need to know about Dugas Bryggeri for the moment. If you want to learn more, of course, you can check out the brewery website. You can follow them on Facebook and Instagram to keep up to date with all the latest goings on, and of course you can check out the Rate Beer, Untappd and Beer Advocate pages to learn more about all the different beers that these guys have done. It's actually quite difficult to keep up to date with all the different stuff that these guys have done because they've been around for so long. So I do suspect, I think on Untappd it said that they've only produced something like 70 different beers as of May 2020, and I know for a fact that that's not right with Dugas Bryggeri. So yeah, but it's a brewery that you definitely want to check out if you're interested in Swedish beer. I recommend you go to Gothenburg and you try some of the Dugas beers. These guys are definitely one of the Swedish breweries to keep an eye on, and I think one of the better known Swedish craft breweries worldwide these days as well. So yeah, let's get on and actually have a taste of this one then. So I'll just let you have a little look at the artwork before we open it up. As you can see, this is the typical Dugas style artwork. You know, I do like these kind of wavy patterns that they always put behind the beers. These bottles are very distinctive. There you can see there is one of the Dugas symbols there. You can also see there is another one. Looks like they've got a couple of different symbols there. And yeah, I think that's it. But there you can see it says the little hop cone, 15 years of Dugas. So yeah, we should say happy anniversary to Dugas Bryggeri. But it says on the side here, this is 15 Sour, celebrating that Dugas in the year 2020 is turning 15 years old. We've brewed 3 very special beers. This is 15 Sour, a sour beer with 15 different fruits. We've put pineapples, oranges, blueberries, lemons, elderberries, raspberries, strawberries, cherries, mandarins, mangoes, passion fruits, peaches, plums, pears and apples in there. A fruit punch. So yeah, there is definitely 15 fruits in this one. I counted on the last one that there was 15 hops in there. I wasn't sure if they would list all of them, but yeah, 15 different types of fruits in this. So this one, say this is 5%. I thought they might have done like an imperial sour, to be honest, like, you know, an 8% sour or something like that for this particular beer. But yeah, I think this one will be really quite interesting, come to think of it. So hopefully this one turns out, and I hope it doesn't get, you know, it isn't just overloaded with different things, because I felt that the IPA was just a little bit, it was a good beer and you could tell it was a good beer, but really to me it just tasted kind of limey rather than anything else, limey and citrusy. So yeah, hopefully this one has a really interesting sort of thing going on. I'll be interested to see how these flavours come out in the sour beer rather than the IPA. But there you can see, plain gold bottle cap on this one. Let's get it out and we'll get on with the tasting then. It says best before the 21st of February 2022. So I guess this one was bottled on the 21st of February this year. Give it a 2-year shelf life. There's the bottle cap for this IPA as well. And I'll tell you straight away, when you open this beer up, the aroma of this is very, very nice actually. So yeah. It's actually been a while since I had a sour beer from Dugas Bryggeri actually. I can't remember what the last one was, come to think of it, because I think mainly it's been stouts that I've been reviewing from these guys. So Dugas, yeah, if you are watching, if Mikael is watching, please release some more sours through Systembolaget. Release some more sours and some more IPAs, because it has been a bit stout overload from you guys at the moment. Not that that's bad, your stouts are very good, but it would be nice to have a few of the IPAs and the sours coming through Systembolaget as well, because, you know, not everybody lives in Gothenburg and can try the IPAs. So yeah, some more sours and some IPAs would be very nice from you guys over the next little while. But yeah, as you can see with this one, if I hold this up to the light, it's a kind of pinky orange type colour. If you look at the kind of colour that's on the bottle here, the more orangey colour, it's actually not a million miles away from that. It's very, very close to that in colour. So whether that's intentional or not, I don't know. But yeah, the colour of this beer is very nice. I mean, you can see there was about a quarter finger of a frothy white head just sitting there. That's faded away to be a very, very thin foamy layer. You're just getting a kind of foamy ring around the edge of the glass now. There's 1 or 2 big bubbles sticking towards the side of the glass. There's a few little ones going up towards the bottom of the head there. But you know, overall, it looks pretty nice. I'm just surprised. Well, I mean, when you've got berries and cherries and stuff like that, those are the things that are going to dye the beer to be this kind of red colour. Everything else, I mean, I thought the blueberries might have made it a little bit darker. It doesn't have black currants in it right enough, does it? No, I would have thought the blueberries might have made it a little bit darker, actually. But yeah, you know, the colour of this isn't surprising when you consider what fruits are in it. So yeah, lovely kind of pinky, sort of almost blood orangey colour. It's somewhere between pink and blood orange, but the aroma that comes out of this is just It's just lovely, actually. It really is very, very nice, and we'll need to take a closer look at that. But this beer, in terms of haziness, there is a little bit of haze to it, but nothing more than like a typical West Coast IPA or something like that. You have got a little bit of haze. If I put my fingers on either side of the glass, you can see there is a nice little bit of of clarity to this beer as well. So let's take a closer look at that aroma then and see how we get on. Yeah, this one smells really nice actually. Underneath, we'll focus on the malty side first. Underneath, you can really get a nice little bit of a bready sort of note out of it. There's maybe a little teeny bit of that kind of butterscotchy sort of thing. The malt base on this one I think is very kind of straight up. A little bit of pale malt, maybe a little bit of a biscuit malt or something like that. There is a wee bit of that there. There's one or two little kind of woody undertones in there as well. One or two little woody undertones, but the malt base is fairly kind of straight up. In terms of the hoppy side of things, I don't know if this one actually does have hops in it. Some breweries choose to brew sour beers without hops, but I think there's a little teeny bit. I think there's a wee teeny bit of like a German noble type earthiness to this, a little touch of floral note and also some grassiness as well, but these are very, very subtle notes. I mean, mainly this beer just smells like a big kind of fruity thing. Straight away with it though, you are going to notice that sort of lemony, citricy tartness that you'd always expect of a sour beer. You get that bit of sharpness at the start of at the front of the nose, but it almost smells a little bit appley or peary. It really smells in this beer like the tartness is coming from the apples and the pears that are in here. It's got a little bit of that kind of lovely sharpness to it, to be honest with you, but it's not as sharp as a lemony citric. There is a wee bit of that lemony citrusy kind of thing to it, but mainly it's a sort of peary, appley ester that mixes in with the citricy side of the beer. But other than that, there's a lot of fruitiness going on with this one. I mean, for me, I think this beer actually leans towards a sort of peary, gooseberry type aroma. I really find that those seem to be the most predominant things. I mean, in the background you can get a little bit of towards the back of the nose, I think you get a little bit of the strawberry, the juiciness from the strawberries. There is almost a little bit of that raspberry juiciness and some of the blueberry notes in there as well. Was there raspberries in this beer? Yeah, there is raspberries in this. So you start to get the raspberries, and you do start to get the raspberries and the strawberries, I think, towards the back of the nose. But for me, the prominent fruit, the thing that's really sticking with me at the front of the nose, is the kind of peary notes, and it's almost, as I say, a little bit gooseberry. I don't think there is gooseberries in this one, but no, to me it comes across as a little bit like a gooseberry. That could be the elderberries, right enough. Elderberries a fruit that I'm not overly familiar with. Maybe I need to go and see if I can find some elderberry juice, or just buy some elderberries and taste them, because that's a flavour, as I say, not overly familiar with that. But yeah, for me, it's really it's a sort of peary, gooseberry type. But in fairness, the thing that I'm thinking is gooseberry, it almost smells a little bit spicy, so it could well be the elderberries. Like I say, I don't know. Could be the power of suggestion, who knows. But yeah. To me, it really smells this one's very well balanced between the sort of soft, peary, gooseberry type aromas that I'm talking about, and you've got the lovely kind of berryish notes sitting in the background. Like I say, strawberries, a bit of blackberry, a bit of raspberry. I don't get so much of the cherry, in fairness. I don't get so much of that. But I've always found, to me personally, I don't find that cherries smell of too much unless they're unless they're sour. I find that cherry is quite a subtle aroma. The tropical side of things, I do get the pineapple. In fairness, I do get pineapple out of this. You can smell the pineapple sort of sitting behind the kind of peary notes out of this. But other than that, I don't get too much in the way of tropical fruit. I think the main things that stick out to me with this one, you've got a bit of the peary notes coming out of the beer. You've got this kind of gooseberry note, which I'm assuming is the elderberry. There's a wee bit of a kind of pineapple-y note sitting in behind that, and then you've got the strawberry, raspberries, blueberries, all of these kind of things. You've got all of these kind of sitting together in this one. So it's interesting that the tropical fruits, I mean, it says here it's got mangoes, passion fruits and peaches and stuff like that, and it says it's got plums as well, so maybe there is a bit of plumminess coming out in that fruity side that I talked about. But out of the tropical fruits, personally, I only really get the pineapple out of this, to be honest with you. And it says there's oranges and mandarins in this, but to be honest, I don't really detect those. I don't really smell the kind of orangey side to the beer. No, to me this is more berryish. It really is more those berries that I've mentioned, the peary notes, and just a little bit of the kind of pineapple. I don't get any of the. I don't get so much of the passion fruit. I don't get I don't get the other things as well. Notice I think there isn't grapefruit in this, and that's interesting that they do that, because obviously grapefruit would overpower a lot of the other things. So I think that's a good decision from them not to put grapefruit in it, because grapefruit is very, very strong, very pungent in its flavour. So I think this I think should be really interesting. I think this will be a very interesting concoction, if you like. The aroma I certainly do like. This is one of the best aromas I've had from a Dugges beer in a little while, and that's not to take anything away from the others. I just think this is really very nice. So yeah, take a bit of time and enjoy the aroma of this one before you get stuck into it. But we're going to taste this now. This is the 15 Sour, a 5% sour beer with 15 different fruits in it from Dugges Bryggeri, brewed for their 15th anniversary. Big shout out to Dugges once again, one of my favourite Swedish breweries. Happy 15th anniversary. How do we say? Would we say? Would you say gratis? Gratis over? No, you would say glad 15 jubileum. I guess you could say that. Let's get stuck into this one. Slanje, skål. Yeah, that's nice actually. That is nice. Yeah, the feel and the vibe of this beer is really, really very nice. The first thing you're going to notice about this is a very light, sort of drinkable sour actually. The fruits, there's a lot of fruitiness to this beer. It strikes me like, again, it's kind of like the aroma. I think the first impression is that it's the pears and the sort of gooseberry-ish notes, and then some of the berry-ish flavours that come out of this. You do get a little bit of tropical note to this one the further you go into the aftertaste as well. I do actually get a little bit of the peachiness out of this. I didn't really get so much peachiness in the aroma, but definitely in the flavour of this you do get a little bit of peachiness sitting underneath this. But this beer, I'll say straight away, this gets a thumbs up from me. As was the case with the IPA though, I think just on the first sip, I think detecting all of these 15 fruits is a little bit difficult, but then again, the question is whether you want to do that. And that's maybe an element that I missed in the IPA review, was that you know, this one is just meant to taste like a whole kind of fruit punchy sort of thing, and I guess the IPA was intended like that as well. So the question is whether it's better to have all of these flavours kind of mixing together, or whether it's to go with a little bit of simplicity or whatever. And I guess it's a beer that's done specially for a special occasion, so you know, they want to do something a little bit crazy and a little bit out there. And I will say that as a beer, this is really, really nice. But as I say, you can't detect all of the fruits in this one, I have to say. But I will say, as a sour beer, this is really nice, and the base that this has, I really like this. I mean, one of my favourite sours from Dugges was always Mango, Mango, Mango. Really, really liked that beer. I can't remember if that was supposed to be a sour IPA or if it was just like a sour mango beer. I really can't remember exactly what that was, but that was. It wasn't like this one where it's like a sour ale. It was more like a sour pale ale or something like that. Definitely a bit more malty presence to it. But I really like this one. As I say, it's a bit of a shame that Dugges haven't released more sours and been experimenting more with the sours recently, because that was something they were always very, very good at, in my opinion. So I really like how this one goes together. This gets a big thumbs up from me. Let's try and just break down the flavour of this one then a little bit and see how we go with it. So yeah, with this beer then, you can feel that nice, you feel a little bit of that kind of bready malt that just blankets the middle of the palate. On top of that, I find that you do get a little bit of a kind of butterscotchy, sort of biscuity type thing out of this. It does have the malt base in this one does have a nice little bit of sweetness. The malt base is very simple and straight up in this, in my mind. And that really works for it. I have to say that does work for this beer. On the hoppy side of things as well, back corners of the palate, you've got a little bit of earthiness there. I think there is maybe a German noble hop in this, Hallertau Tettnang or something like this. But as you come further forward along the side of the palate, the earthiness, it spreads forward a little bit. You get a wee touch of floral note on the front corners of the palate, then round the very front curve of the tongue, it's just a little bit lighter and more grassy in my mind. And of course, behind the front curve of the palate, that's where you get all these nice kind of fruity esters pushing their way out of this beer. So for me, this one's got a lot of really interesting things going on with it. So yeah, I really I really like how this goes together. As I say, malt base and hoppy side of this beer are pretty simple. This is a very, very drinkable beer. I do wonder how this would have been as an imperial sour, like, you know, an 8% or something like that. I think this would have been really interesting, but as a light drinkable 5%er, it is quite good. I would wonder what the decision with that was, because, you know, for an anniversary beer, maybe they want to make it a bit stronger or something. But then again, if they're celebrating What Dougas Do, their sours were always around the kind of 5% mark. Their IPAs, as I say, were always around 7.5, as the IPA was. So yeah, they're not doing beers out of the ordinary for the anniversary, they're just putting more stuff in them, basically. But yeah, the fruity side of this beer then, so when you take this one in, you get a little bit of that sharp kind of citricy quality, but as I say, for me, the citricy notes you get with this, it's quite like a pear. It really is the pear that comes out of this quite a bit. Yeah, when you take this beer in, yeah, actually, you get a bit of the peary kind of notes with it, but at the same time you can feel some of the fruitiness. It's like a bit of a strawberry, raspberry kind of thing, so you can detect the kind of sour citric note. It comes in just right behind the front of the tongue and gives you that little sour attack that you get. Then it juices over the front part of the palate, and everything else just kind of comes out. So if you go towards the back of that fruity part of your tongue, then you really get, for me, you get the strawberries, you get the a little bit of the juicy kind of blueberries and things. It almost comes across as being a little bit figgy, in fairness, actually, with all these different fruits mixed together. I do get a little bit of the plummy notes out of this, some of the sharpness and juiciness from the plums, and there is a wee bit of the cherry in there. If you go to the very centre of that front part of your palate, I think there is just a wee bit of a cherry kind of note there. I've always found cherry to be a slightly darker fruit, but at the same time, very juicy. You get the plums kind of sitting on top of that, then the juicy strawberries and the sharper raspberries. For me, the strawberries sit at the back of that fruity part of your palate. There is a bit of the sharpness from the raspberry there, and as you come further forward, you get a bit of the blueberries and things just sitting on top of that. But then underneath, there's the cherry. Then you've got the kind of then you've got a little bit of the plummy notes sitting on top of that. The way that these kind of berryish, I don't know if you can consider the plum as a berry. I don't know exactly how you classify that fruit, but you get all these nice kind of more reddish, I guess you could say reddish type fruits sitting there. For me, they come out towards the back of that fruity part of the palate. As I always say, these days I like to divide the tongue into thirds. So you have the back third, the middle third, and the front third. And so if we go to the back third of the tongue, you've got strawberry here, you've got a bit of raspberry mixed in with that, a bit of the blueberry, and I think the blueberry spreads forward, but then under that blueberry you've got a bit of the darker cherry and a bit of the kind of plummy note out of this beer as well. So you can detect at least those 5 and kind of 6 fruits out of this one. But then when you go towards the very tip of your tongue, I think it's quite peary. I'm guessing that the elderberry is mixing in with that, because it's a flavour that I don't recognise overly much. So I'm guessing that it's the pear and the elderberry is kind of in this one. You know, there's a wee bit of almost a wee bit of a kind of appley ester to it as well. You do have a little bit of that kind of appley sharpness to this one, which is interesting. But yeah, I would say some of that, you do get a little bit of the strawberry notes on the very kind of tip of the tongue as well, which is interesting. But for me, the front part of the palate, especially around the edge of the tongue, it's definitely quite peary. It almost gives you the impression of a little bit of gooseberry, and I'm guessing that that's the elderberry that's doing that. The further that you go into the aftertaste, I mean, underneath this, as I said, you've got the berryish notes, the sort of plummies, the blueberries and everything. Then in front of that, I think you get a bit of the peach sort of sitting under there. And I think the peach really lingers into the aftertaste with this one. For me, on that just almost on the tip of the tongue, there's quite a strong kind of peachy flavour just underlying this one. And peach is a very distinctive flavour for me. I don't eat them too much, but my mum used to love peaches, and she always used to give me a little bit when I was younger, so I always remember the flavour of peaches, and I really find that the peach lingers into the aftertaste along with a little bit of the strawberry. To be honest with you, it's peach and strawberry and a bit of that peary gooseberry kind of thing. That's what really carries into the aftertaste with this beer for me. But in terms, it says there's oranges and mandarins in here. I really don't get those. I don't really detect the orangey and citrusy kind of things. I'd be curious to know what you guys think of this in terms of the fruits, because I really don't get the kind of orangey notes out of this. And it's interesting because I thought there would be quite a bit of pineapple in this. There's a teeny bit of pineapple, but the pineapple for me doesn't really come out either, and the passion fruit really doesn't come out very much, come to think of it, either. But then again, if these are only being added in quite small in quite small quantities so that the whole beer is balanced. That kind of makes sense, to be honest with you, because passion fruit can be quite a pungent flavour, to be honest with you. There's mangoes in this as well, and I don't get overly mango. I think it's the peach that dominates the sort of tropical side of this beer. I really don't get much in the way of I don't get much of the pineapple, I don't get much of the mango, I don't get much of the passion fruit. For me, the tropical part of this beer is peach, pretty much straight up. So that's a surprising thing about this beer, I have to say. But then on the front part of the palate, like I say, it's peary. There's a little bit of an apple-y kind of thing, a little bit of an almost gooseberry flavour. There's not gooseberries in this beer, remember. But to me, it's quite a gooseberry type flavour, this one. And you can feel around the edge of the palate, if we're talking about mouthfeel, you can really feel that the fact that there's so much fruit added to this beer, that just suppresses a bit of the... it really suppresses a little bit of the IBU that this beer has. So yeah, the way that everything goes together in this beer is very, very nice, actually. I mean, this is a really, really good sour, and I've not had a sour from Dugas in a while, and this one's kind of reminded me like how good these guys are in this category. So what I would say, if the guys from Dugas are watching, please do release a few more sours through Systembolaget. I mean, I don't get the chance to try, these guys are very prolific, I don't get the chance to try a lot of the different beers that they do, but it's been mainly stouts they've been releasing. Please do release a few more IPAs and sour beers through the Systembolaget ranges, because it's something that I really miss. The Mango is one of the best sour beers that I've had. It's such a nostalgic and favourite beer for me, and I think this is very, very nice as well. This is a very light, drinkable, sort of summery type sour beer, this one, and it's got a really interesting combination of stuff in it. I mean, when it's got 15 fruits in it, you are inevitably going to lose a few. As I say, I don't get the mandarins and the oranges, I don't get so much of the pineapple and mangoes and passion fruit and stuff, but this kind of shows you what Dugas are capable of in this style, actually. So this is a very good sort of benchmark beer for them, if you like. But I mean, try the Tropic Thunder. That's a bit of a beast. Mango. What's the other one? Is it a blackcurrant or a blueberry sour that they have that's very nice as well? You know, try some of the different sour beers from these guys. If you like this style, you will be impressed with what Dugas have got to say in this particular category. But yeah, this is a great beer. So big thumbs up to Dugas. I like this one a bit better than the IPA. I think the IPA has to have a little bit. I think putting 15 hops in the IPA was just a little bit much, but I think with this one it does work, because there's at least 8 or 9 of the fruits I can detect, whereas maybe in the hoppy side of things I really wasn't getting all that. There were bits and bobs in there, but I think 15 hops was just a little bit too much for that. But that's just me. But let me know what fruits you guys get out of this, because I always say that beer is subjective, so maybe you guys detect the oranges and stuff while I don't. I've kind of outlined what I really think the main flavours in this beer are. But in terms of the mouthfeel then, quite mid-bodied. For a sour beer, this is quite a mid-bodied one. The carbonation is very smooth. I think it's got a good combination of oily and wet mouthfeel to it. It's not the most puckering of sours that you're going to come across. It's actually just got a nice level of sourness to it, to be honest with you. And in terms of IBUs, I'd be surprised if you're getting 10 or 15 IBUs out of this one. There's not a lot to talk about in that regard. It's got a lovely juicy fruitiness to it, and as I say, it's not, and the malt base is quite smooth, just with a little bit of an almost butterscotchy, biscuity kind of sweetness. It gets a little bit more grainy the further that you go into the aftertaste as well. But overall, this is a very, very nice beer, and I'm glad that I was able to review this one for you. So yeah, have a go at this one for yourself, and just and see what you think. But I think this is a very, very well done sour, this, and as I say, I hope that Dugas start to release more sours in Systembolaget over the next little while, along with a few more IPAs. It'd be cool to try some of the IPAs from the Crush and the Fresh series through Systembolaget. So yeah, let's leave it at that for this one. This one was the 15 sour. You can detect quite a lot of the fruits in this one. I would say about 10 fruits you can detect in this, rather, or maybe between 8 and 10 fruits you can detect rather than the full 15. But yeah, it's a very, very nice sour beer nonetheless, and this was great to try. So happy 15th anniversary once again to Dugas Bryggeri. This was a really interesting beer to try, and in a few videos time you will see me review the 15 stout, so keep an eye out for that. Slàinte, Skål, happy anniversary to Dugas once again, and I'll catch you guys very soon. Cheers.